It is difficult for most Americans to fully comprehend the popularity of the Morgan, with its peculiar vintage styling, not to mention the quaint, old-fashioned Britishness of the whole business. Since 1910, the Morgan Motor Company has been the main employer in the sleepy country town of Malvern Link in Worcestershire, England. It still operates in its original buildings. Morgans had to provide wind-in-the-hair motoring, and they had to be made by hand. In Britain, buyers are even prepared to wait 5 years from order to delivery. As Car and Driver first informed readers in the June 1999 issue, a new, thoroughly modern Morgan would be launched at the 2000 Geneva Auto Show, with deliveries to British customers set to start at the end of the year. Called the Aero 8, the new Morgan has an aluminum chassis, a state-of-the-art BMW V-8 engine, and advanced features at least for Morgans such as an independent rear suspension, power steering, and disc brakes at all 4 wheels. It signals a reorganization that will allow the factory to double production to 24 cars a week, or about 1,000 per annum. And that, we are told, is because Morgan is heading for the United States, with this fully certified, crash-tested, airbag, and bumper-compliant Aero 8. The target date for its arrival is the summer of 2002. Creating a high-tech Morgan for the 21st century was tricky. For years, the company rejected the idea of a completely new car as too difficult a task. Besides, it was back-ordered for 5 years. But in 1996, Charles Morgan, grandson of company founder HFS Morgan, decided to take the plunge. Racing had shown the potential of an aluminum chassis that could fit under a body of Morgan proportions. That chassis was originally designed by Jim Randall, the former engineering chief of Jaguar, but the development of the Aero 8 has been the work of veteran Morgan tuner and racer Chris Lawrence. The task of shaping a body that would confer stability at speeds as high as 160 miles per hour, yet be unmistakably a Morgan, was taken on by Charles Morgan himself. Inspired by the classic French and Italian roadsters of the 1930s, Charles did sketches of his ideas for the new car but admits that it was actually shaped by a kind of reverse engineering. They made it up as they went along. The chassis was there and body parts were made, fitted, and modified, the appearance being approved by the company's small management team at each stage. Sad to say, the result is a car that looks as if it were designed by a committee. The headlight units that are flushed into the wide, sweeping fenders give it a cross-eyed appearance. A large but essential air splitter forms an awkward shelf under the dummy traditional radiator grille, and the drooping, squared-off tail is at odds with the generous curves of the front. So this is a Morgan, but not as we know it. The simple and flexible steel ladder frame of the old car has been replaced by a stiff, lightweight chassis of 32 aluminum alloy panels, bonded and riveted together, using specially prepared sheet metal and a construction process developed by Alcan. The suspension has rocker arms and inboard coilover shock units instead of the ancient sliding pillar arrangement at the front, and wide control arms replace the cart-sprung rear axle. Ultralight 5-spoke OZ magnesium alloy wheels are used, 18 inches in diameter and 9.0 inches wide. Spherical steel joints are used throughout the suspension, with rubber bushings only at the damper mounts. There are 2 curiosities about the suspension. The coilover shock units at the rear are floating, both ends are mounted on the control arms, at the outboard end of the lower arm, inboard on the upper, and there are no anti-roll bars. Lawrence says, the roll center is low, and I prefer to balance the car's handling with the spring rates. Although its aluminum body panels are mostly shaped by machine, the new car maintains Morgan's coach building tradition by mounting them on a wooden frame that is bolted to the chassis. So the natural colored ash in and around the cockpit is not the usual thin veneer for decoration but a solid part of the car's structure. This is the most powerful and most expensive Morgan ever. Its 286 horsepower comes from the 4.4-liter BMW V-8 engine found in the 540i and 740iL. The 6-speed manual Getrag gearbox is also the one used by BMW. Although the open-top Aero 8 is a far cry from the sanitized efficiency of a BMW sedan, The engine remains sweet, smooth, and punchy, enhanced by the Morgan's more tuneful exhaust. Since the Aero 8 weighs only 2,200 pounds, the performance is mighty, 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 4.5 seconds, with a top speed of about 160 miles per hour. Even the most committed fan of the old models will appreciate the leap forward that the Aero 8 represents. A Morgan Plus 8 with a Rover V8 is fast on a smooth road but hard, jerky, and difficult to handle on a bumpy one. The Aero 8 is eager but easy and remains stable and surprisingly comfortable even over bad pavement. It has power and torque to spare, so that you can flick the tail with a prod on the throttle or spin the wheels just for the hell of it. Control efforts: the pedals, steering, gear change are not too heavy and nicely matched. The big AP racing brakes are highly effective but would be more reassuring in bad weather if they included an anti-lock system. The omission of ABS seems illogical, as Morgan has not been shy about incorporating other modern conveniences such as air conditioning, cruise control, a tire pressure monitoring system, satellite navigation, and windows with built-in heating elements. The idea of a Morgan used to be nicer than the reality. There is something glamorously sentimental about looking out across a long, tapering hood and sweeping mudguards. That vista remains through the flat windshield of the Aero 8, but the new car now drives much better than it looks. The tight-fitting cockpit and the position of the two seats, just ahead of the rear axle line, make this seem a much bigger car than it is actually. It is 5 inches longer and wider than the old Plus 8. With the fabric roof in place, it has a heated glass rear window. It is a bit claustrophobic. The Aero 8's price of £50,000, $74,500, in the British Isles ensures that Morgan will continue with its cheaper traditional models, the 4/4 at £22,000, $32,780, and the Plus 8 at £35,000, $52,150. But neither the price nor the looks have deterred more than 500 persons who placed orders for the Aero 8 before they had even driven one. Vehicle type: front engine, rear wheel drive, 2-passenger, 2-door convertible. Estimated base price, $74,500. Engine type: DOHC 32-valve V8, aluminum block and heads, Bosch Motronic 7.2 engine control system with port fuel injection. Displacement, 268 cu in, 4,398 cubic centimeters. Power, SAE net 286 bhp at 5,500 rpm. Torque, SAE net 322 lb-ft at 3,700 rpm. Transmission, 6-speed manual. Dimensions: wheelbase, 99.5 in length, 161.0 in width, 69.0 in height, 43.0 in. Curb weight, 2,200 pounds. Manufacturer's performance ratings: 0 to 60 miles per hour, 4.5 SEC. Top speed, drag limited 160 miles per hour. Projected fuel economy: European urban, 13 mpg. Extra urban, 26 mpg. Combined, 19 mpg.